GTM Podcast, Buddha Stories, Porisat The Cannibal, Episode 11. From the last episode, Porisat ran after the ascetic with the thought of catching him for extra sacrifice. But after running for a while, Porisat still was unable to catch up with him. So he shouted, "Stop, ascetic! Stop! Stop!" The transformed ascetic replied in a calm manner while continuing walking, "I have stopped. It's you who has not." Porisat replied, "Normally, the ascetic would lie, but you obviously are walking and said that you have stopped. How could you speak lies? What kind of ascetic are you?" The ascetic replied, "I have stopped from committing evil deeds. Porisat, you have changed. If you continue down this path, you will be reborn and suffer in hell." The ascetic then provoked him further. "If you continue on making sacrifice, the kings you have gathered are not good enough. They are just ordinary kings. There is better one who you had omit. He is King Suttasoma of Indapatti kingdom. If you can catch him for your offering, the tree sprite will be very pleased." Then reveal himself his true form as a tree sprite and disappear. Joy in his mind, Porisat thought of a plan to kidnap King Suttasoma. Next morning, it was fortunate for the cannibal. King Suttasoma had to attend the ceremony rite to bless his kingdom. He must go bathe himself in a royal pond outside the city. Taking this chance, Porisat cast his spell and traveled to Indapatti kingdom. He sneaked into the royal pond before dawn and waited for his chance. Then he used lotus leaf to cover his head so that no one could see him. When it was the time, the guards stayed in their positions within 48 kilometers radius. Many people awaited to welcome their king along the road. King Suttasoma finished his royal breakfast and dressed in full decoration for the ceremony. He got on the royal white elephant that was fully decorated. When everything was ready, he proceeded along the public road, which was decorated with different kinds of flags on both sides. King Suttasoma was also surrounded by 4 possessions. They are elephants, horses, carriages, and service processions. When the king moved to a certain location, there were people awaiting to welcome him on both sides while singing and praising, "Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king!" People were waving flags and cheering. At the time, there was a Brahmin named Nanda who came from Taxila city with a Dhamma or sermon called Sattaraha. The cost to learn this knowledge was about $100, which taught and said by his master. He headed to Indapatti city in hope to demonstrate the spell to the king, because he knew that the king loved to learn and listen to the Dhamma when he has opportunity. Nanda had arrived at Indapatti city since last evening, and in the morning he went to welcome the king with the crowd. When King Suttasoma arrived where he stood, Nanda extended his hands to pay respect and expressed a sign that he would like to have an audience with him. When King Suttasoma saw the sign, he understood the meaning. He ordered his servant to bring elephant closer to Nanda and said, "Brahmin, where did you come from? Why are you here in this city? Tell me your purpose. How can I help you?" The young Brahmin did not hesitate to tell the king, "Your Majesty, I came from Taxila with a special knowledge Dhamma called Sataraha. It was taught by Kassapa Buddha. I heard that your Majesty loves to study Dhamma. That's why I come to you. Would you like to listen?" Hearing the name Kassapa Buddha, King Suttasoma felt joy and anxiously wanted to listen in that instant. But the king could not do so due to his duty. So he answered to the Brahmin, "Master, it was so fortunate that you came to me. This is my blessing. But unfortunately, I am unable to listen to you right now because I have yet to attend the ceremony. Could you wait until tomorrow?" Then he gave order to his servant to take the Brahmin to stay at the arranged place and appoint the meeting time to meet on the next day. After that, he went to attend the ceremony at the royal garden outside the city. The royal garden was surrounded by 18 feet high wall with high security guards which were arranged as follows. The first group in the procession was the troops of elephant. After that would be the troops of horse. Then the chariot troops. Next were the troops of bow and arrow and swordmen. Arrived at the royal pond, King Suttasoma got down from his royal elephant and proceeded to the royal ceremony. The officials sounded the auspicious gong, played a horn, and the musicians began to play their musical instruments. After that, he would take off his royal ornaments and change into a new set of bath clothes. Letting his attendants wash his hair with pure water mixed with fragrance, and he went into the pond, bathing in the traditional royal way, then exit the pond, dry and change into a new garment. The attendants prepared to dress him with the royal ornaments and the garland of flowers and fragrance for him to proceed to the royal ceremony where the officials and people gather. Porisat, while hid himself and wait for his chance, watched the king throughout the ceremony. When the king was getting dressed, he thought if His Majesty put on his royal ornaments, he would be too heavy to carry and would slow him down. He thought he should take action now. Then he recited the spell Padalak and quickly jumped out of the pond. He swung his sword above his head and ran toward the king, while surrounded by the royal attendants, cried out as loud as the sound of thunder, "Porisat has arrived! If you don't want to die, get out of my way!" When people saw him suddenly jump out of the pond, waving a sword running toward them, hearing the cry of Porisat the Cannibal has frightened them. The whole army that guard the royal pond will faint in an instant. None were able to stand against him except King Suttasoma. Seeing his opportunity, Porisat ran straight to the king and bent down his body to forcefully lift His Majesty up by letting him sit on the shoulder. He did not cut the king's ankle like he did with other kings due to his respect to King Suttasoma as his best friend and teacher. After he firmly held the king on his shoulder, he jumped across the wall of 18 feet high, then jumped across the whole army in a sweep of moment. Now Porisat has successfully kidnapped King Suttasoma. What would be the fate of the king? What would happen next? Let's find that out in the next episode of Porisat The Cannibal.